Hi there! Hi all! How are you doing today? Don't know what day it is where you are. Here in Brisbane is a Thursday morning. Okay, 11 a.m. I'm a little bit late, already 11:06. I was having technical issues with the internet. Yeah, so if we kind of stop in the middle here, it's because the internet's not working, okay? So because it's been a bit on and off all morning. Okay, but so I'd like to say hello again to you guys. So my name is Fabi from Fabi English. I'm here to help you improve your English and get the score you need on the Ielts exam. I've been teaching English for a long time, and I've been teaching Ielts for 7 years now. Okay, I've helped heaps of people and I have lots of tips to give you, okay, especially concerning your English, because I don't think that you can achieve the score you need if you don't study English on the side, okay? So everyone who's studying for the IELTS with me, they always take time to study a little bit of English too. Because if you've been trying the IELTS, okay, and you tried it many times and you didn't get the score you need, you probably need to improve your English a tiny bit. All right, okay. So I don't know if you saw what happened last week. So last week we talked a little bit about New Year's resolutions and also about your English, okay? So a lot of people had this vision that 2021 would be the year in which they improve their English, okay? But it's already February and some people haven't even started. Okay, so last week I gave you some tips on how to improve that and keep that going, okay? So if you didn't see the lives from last week, they are available on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, Fab English. All right, cool. So this week we are talking about feedback, okay? So as I said to you guys on Monday, I think that getting feedback throughout your IELTS journey will help you get to the score you need faster, okay? Because a lot of people, they tend to study by themselves, but they don't have anyone helping them, okay, and telling them what they're doing right, okay, and what they're doing wrong, okay? And that could be the difference between getting the score you need and not getting the score you need, all right? So I'm here this week to tell you a little bit about feedback. So on Monday, we talked about the importance of the feedback. Yesterday, we talked about the types of feedback. And today, I'll tell you how to use feedback, okay? Because I think I gave the example yesterday, or Monday, I don't remember. I take the time to check everyone's writings, okay? If you're my student, you know that I check your writings. I take the time to look at it, and I look at it in detail, okay? And then I give it back to you. And some people, when they get it back, they fold it and they put it inside their notebook or they put it inside their bag. I've had students who actually looked at it, squished it up, and threw it in the bin, okay? That's not what you should be doing, okay? If you really want to achieve the score you need, I do think that you should be using that feedback, okay? Because it is extremely helpful. And today I'll tell you how to do it, okay? Cool. So one of the things you can do, which I find really helpful, okay, and I tell my students to do this all the time. It takes time, but it's good, okay, guys? You should be doing it, okay? So one thing that you can do, you can write down your mistakes, okay? So, so actually, before I say that, let's talk a little bit about what we talked about yesterday, which were the types of feedback, okay? Just to try and remember some of them. So the most common one is actually just your typical marking, okay? So just people, so you get someone to look at your writing and they underline what you did wrong, and maybe they can suggest something else for you to do, okay? So they can give you the answer, or they can tell you what is wrong, all right? So that's one type. The second type is the written feedback, okay? So you have someone to look at your writing, let's say, and then they look at, they go ahead and they underline what is wrong and they write what is wrong or right, okay? And then another thing you can do is actually get recorded feedback, which is the one I use with my students, especially in the course Ielts Writing with Fabi. Okay, so that's the one I use most of the time, the recorded feedback. Okay, but it doesn't really matter what type of feedback you get. Okay, the strategies I'm going to tell you today work for all of them. All right, okay, so I think that the first thing you can do actually is to write down your mistakes. Actually, more important than that, I think you should write down the type of mistakes that you have. Okay, so let's say you got someone to check your writing for you, or you did a speaking test with someone, okay, and then they told you what you did wrong, okay? So it's a good idea to write down the type of mistakes you had and how many times you made that mistake, okay? So for example, I've had students in the past who got spelling wrong all the time. So let's say in a writing that had 200 words, I wrote spelling, wrong spelling like 5 times. Okay, so they know that one of their weaknesses is spelling, okay? Another one was, let's say, past tenses. I know the person meant past, but when the person wrote, it wasn't the past. So that's grammar, more specifically, past. And then let's say they had 3 mistakes, okay? And then missing word. A lot of people, when they start writing, they focus so much on the content and they forget some words, you know? Sometimes it's a grammar mistake, but sometimes just because, you know, they're writing and then they read again, it makes sense to them and they miss some words. Okay, it's a very common mistake too. So you can actually count how many you had. Okay, so my advice is have a list of all your mistakes and then check how many times you made those mistakes. And then you see what are your weaknesses. Okay, and maybe on the side also write down some of the things you did that the person who read your writing or did the speaking test with you said were good. So you know you can keep doing those things. All right, so there are 2 things. This is one thing that you can do. Okay, maybe have 2 columns. Okay, I think it's better to focus more on what you're doing wrong, but don't forget to also look at what you did right, so you can keep doing it, because you don't want to change what you're doing right, okay? You only want to improve what you're doing that is not really helping you. All right, cool. So that's one thing you can do and it totally helps, okay? So with my students, when I was working at schools here in Brisbane, when I was working at the University of Queensland, even my private students, I always get them to write a list of their mistakes. Okay, and then they analyze their mistakes. And I think that's a very practical way of also thinking about what you can do to improve. Which takes me to the second thing you can do with your feedback, okay? So once you have that list, all right, it's very, very important for you to check that list and see where you want to focus, all right? So let's say someone would have 7 different types of mistakes. And then you can see that one of these mistakes, this person committed the same mistake 5 times and the other one 6 times. So I think that means that we should focus on that, okay? So yesterday I talked to you guys about the pre-feedback, okay? So it's basically you preparing yourself to do a new writing or to do a new speaking test, okay? Aware of what you have to improve. Okay, so you can actually choose 2 things to work on, okay? So as you can see, it's kind of a cycle, all right? So basically you do a writing or you do a speaking test, you get someone to check it for you, all right? And then you get it back, you analyze it, and when you're gonna do the new one, okay, you look at it and you focus on it, okay? And then you choose some of the things you want to work on. Okay, just so you can actually improve. Yeah, because actually at UQ I had a student telling me, so we were doing this a lot. Every week we were doing this. And then one student actually complained and then he said, but Fabi, look, I fixed the mistakes from last week, but then this week I have new mistakes. What do I do? I said, that's good, it's no problem at all. You know, at least you're not making the same mistakes again. You are improving. He's like, oh, so it's good. I said, yeah, don't worry, it's good. Okay, because he was a little bit disappointed. He said, look, I fixed my mistakes, but I'm making new ones. So what's wrong here? He's improving, he's learning, you know? So yeah, so I think it's good because I do think it's not the best scenario if you are making the same mistakes all the time. So let's say one thing that people write wrong is nowadays. The word nowadays, people tend to write it separate. Nowadays, whereas nowadays is one word. Okay? And usually, and people like to use that. I like to use that in my writing too. And it's usually the first word. So just imagine if you have that as your first word in writing and it's wrong. Okay? It doesn't matter who's reading. It's going to be like, oh, you know? And let's say that you made that mistake last week and whoever checked your writing said, hey, this is a mistake. Fix that. And then next week, you make the same mistake again. That's not very good. Okay, so you should be improving that. And that's why I said that you should never do a new writing before checking your previous one. Okay, and another thing is, I think I'm sure I told you guys before, I focus on quality, not quantity. Okay, so my students, they will do one writing a week. Okay, so they don't do a new writing until we check the last writing they've done. Okay, and even sometimes students, you know, they're in the mood, they do 2 writings, 3 writings, but if I look at them, they have the same mistakes. So there's some really progress there. Okay, they're practicing writing, but there isn't really progress. So they're all 6, 6, 6, they're at 6.5, 5.5. Okay, so yeah, so the whole idea of the feedback is to know what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong and improve for the next time. Okay, so the tips I gave you today, they were meant for you to improve for next time. All right, okay. So I think that's it for me today. Let me check yes, that's it for me. If you have any questions, you can ask now. Okay, guys, so if you have any questions, you can ask now. Okay, I'll try to get to them in a minute. Yeah, but next week we'll be back. Okay, so let's try Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday around 11 a.m. Brisbane time. Okay, not sure what the topic's going to be, but if you're on my email list, I might send an email to you to tell you in advance. If you're not on my email list, check it out on Monday. All right, so any questions? We had some very good questions about speaking last week. That was good. Yeah. No. Okay, cool. But if you are watching this, okay, and if you have any questions later, just feel free to send me a message here on Instagram, okay, or Facebook, or you can also write me an email at fabi@fabienglish.com. Okay, so feel free to send me an email if you have any questions. Okay, and I hope this was really helpful. Okay, it was a fun week, huh? Okay, so no questions, no IELTS questions, no English questions. Nah. No. All right, okay. So I think I'm gonna head out. Okay, but I'll definitely see you guys next week. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 11 a.m. Brisbane time. Okay, bye. See ya.